You are from two different backgrounds, two different ideologies, two different mindsets that have shaped the people that you are. Hi everyone, and welcome to this edition of Staying Married. This is powered by This Marriage Business Academy. I am Mo with the double O, and thank you for tuning in today. It's interesting, right? Because we know that the very beginning of marriage is the leaving to cleave. Okay, so I like that we espouse these two words. What does it mean to leave and then cleave? So I'll take us through the dictionary meaning, and then I'll read the scripture to back up our discussion for today. So the Merriam Dictionary defines leaving as to terminate association with or to withdraw from something. To terminate association, to withdraw from something. So just think about it. If you want to terminate association, meaning something that has grown together, withdraw from something. Perhaps let's use the example of a tree, right? That you have nursed from the tender stages. Now it's all grown. It's a big tree, and you want to cut away to graft into another one. If you are an agric student, you know what grafting is about. So you take one part and then put into another one, just imagine that tie. And imagine that it cannot be a very, very easy process, right? So keep that thought, and let's look at the definition of cleave. Cleave, according to Merriam, says to adhere firmly and closely or loyally and unwaveringly. Wow. So big words. Firmly, closely, loyally, unwaveringly. I wish we could really break down these words, because it then gives us the understanding of what it means to leave and cleave. Now, this does not happen overnight. To leave is a process, something that you're already accustomed to, something that you are used to, something that is a part of you. Without thinking about it, you will just do it naturally. You don't have to put any thought process. It's already in you. And then you have to leave that, withdraw, and then cleave, holding on firmly to something else. And that's what marriage is. Let's go to the scripture for today, and then I'll speak a bit around leaving and cleaving. And our scripture is from Genesis chapter 2 and verse 24. It's a very common scripture. I'm reading from the American Standard Version, and it says, "Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh." A man would leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife. Now, just cast your mind back to the definition of leave and cleave that shared at the beginning of today's episode. So you're leaving, withdrawing from the culture, withdrawing from the behavioral patterns, withdrawing from the idiosyncrasies of your family, withdrawing from the way of life that you're accustomed to, and then cleaving to somebody else who is also from another type of culture, another type of pattern, another type of upbringing. You see that there is quite a process going on here. And a lot of times we see people who think that, it will just happen overnight. I mean, yeah, you're in the marriage. He's still going back to mom. Yeah, he will still go back to his mom because he's probably 35 years old, maybe 30. He's been eating his mom's food for 30 years. You know, I mean, for guys that just imagine that you've spent that number of years. So what am I saying? That for you to stay married, you've got to understand that the leaving process requires time. The cleaving process also requires time. You are from two different backgrounds, two different ideologies, two different mindsets that have shaped the people that you are, that have shaped your outlook to life, that have shaped your taste and perhaps your interest. But you have made the choice to be here together. That will require some time. It also requires patience. It would require being intentional. Because without these things, that cleaving may not happen. The leaving may also not happen. And guess what? It's not just in the change of address. It's not just getting an apartment and, just setting up your own place. It's beyond that. It's coming together to form one entity. The scripture that we read says, and they shall be one flesh. Meaning that you come with yours. She or he comes with ours. You become one. You start a new species. Whatever you choose to think that you want to bring into that marriage. So the process of leaving and cleaving will certainly not happen overnight. It's not magic. It would require time. 1 year, 2, 3, forever maybe. Patience and being intentional. I want you to think about it. Perhaps you're listening to me and you're married. That do you really want to be in that marriage? I remember when I was newly married and I was having, some sort of arguments with my husband. And one of my big sisters had said to me, now I'm a personality and my husband is also a personality, and you can imagine. And she said to me, Anu, my middle name is Anu Lwakbo. Anu, do you really want this marriage to work? I'm like, yeah. She goes, no, really think about it. Do you want this marriage to work? I'm like, yes, I'm sure. She asked me at that time, yeah. So if you want it to work, then you've got to pipe low. Time, patience, and being intentional about what you want. It's about anything in life, really. You wake up, you have a vision, you have a dream. You want to be the best medical doctor, a neurosurgeon. It takes time, patience, dedication, being intentional in the choices that you make, because you do understand that leaving and cleaving is a process. Sometimes painful, because if you remember the process of grafting, you've got to cut out. And all of us as humans, we like the things that we are familiar with. You get thrown into a new environment and it takes all of your skills to settle in and find the rhythm, right? But it's something that you've got to do. It's what is required to stay married. Because if you do understand that this is what it takes, this is what it will take to truly enjoy the benefits of being married, then you will pay the price. So leaving and cleaving requires process. It would not happen overnight. You've got to give it time. You've got to give it patience and intentional work. Of course, this backed by your own desire to make it work. to have a great marriage, to choose that you will have a great marriage. There's so much power, when we decide that we want to do something. And I like the story a lot in the Bible where the children of men had come together and said, let's build for ourselves a tower that would reach up to heaven. If you're a student of the scripture, you see that God looked down and said, what is this thing that has been built? They were just discussing. But in God's mind, it was built because they were determined and they were in one accord. So please give it time. The little differences that you have in marriage, make it exciting. Yeah, I can tell you from experience. Sometimes it feels like, why am I having these arguments, disagreements with my partner, with somebody that you say that you love? Why are we suddenly seeing things differently? And we'll talk about that hopefully in one of our future episodes. Before you got into marriage, you were agreeing about everything. It was good. The feeling was great. But now you just seem to disagree on everything. It will take time. It's the cleaving process. I remember our definition. It says adhering firmly, closely, loyally, and unwaveringly. And that would come from your choice to say that this will work. We are here to stay. I hope that this helps you and, shine some light and help you understand that whatever it is, you can make your marriage work. A great marriage is possible if you're only willing to do the work. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. I hope that it has been a blessing to you. Like always, please reach out to me. Write to me at mo@thismarriagebusiness.com. I'll be happy to read from you. Perhaps you've got questions to ask, areas, counseling. Reach out to me and write to me. I'll be most happy and delighted. Thank you for joining and see you next time.